on Australia's business channel. This is Media Week.
Hello and welcome to the program. Ahead on Media Week this week, our feature interviews from the MCN home front as the subscription TV sales body sells its wares to advertisers. We'll chat with the MCN boss, Anthony Fitzgerald, sales chief, Mark Frayne, and we'll get the views of media agency bosses, Lee Terry from Omnicom and also Peter Horgan from OMD. But first, 10 Network has unveiled its 2014 program lineup to advertisers this week as it tries to boost its record low audience share. It came as one of the hosts of 10's new breakfast show, Wake Up, was dropped. For all the details, we're joined by our co-host, James Manning, editor and publisher of Media Week. This week coming to us from Melbourne, where, James, you've been busy at the Screen Forever conference, so good to still have you on the program this week. Yeah, what a week for 10, hey? We've basically seen in the space of 7 days an investor day, 2 upfronts, the CEO speaking to producers at Screen Forever, a key morning breakfast host dumped. Any sense of exhaustion amongst the execs when you're there in Melbourne?
No, they were sort of holding up pretty well, considering, I think. Yeah, it's been an amazing week. The most important thing, I guess, is the upfronts about what they're going to be doing next year. But the thing that's really dominated, I guess, both the headlines and just talk within the industry is the changes they've made to the Wake Up breakfast show. What's
the word on why they would have changed the show host or dumped a show host in just the third week of going to air?
Well, the word is that Adam Boland's back at work now after, I think, nearly a fortnight off. He's the executive producer, of course, who sort of built the whole program, came to 10 just to do this. He said, look, he got the chemistry wrong. Things he was seeing in the rehearsals they did just didn't replicate on air, and he apologised for that. He said, look, we've got to make the change. That's what producers do. It's a little bit unfortunate it happened, I guess, right in between the Sydney and the Melbourne upfronts. They had to sort of fine-tune their presentations to reflect those changes. The show's operating in a band of between 30 and 40,000 at the moment. Look, it's not a place any major show wants to be. 10 aren't sort of saying anything about the ratings. The one thing everybody agrees on, look, it's going to be a long game, but they really need to do something about those figures to get them up in the near future.
What do you mean they fine-tuned the presentations? How did they address it?
Well, I guess the Sydney audience saw 3 hosts for that program. Melbourne audience has got to see 2, so they were able to cut out one of the people. It's Natasha Axelby, of course, is the girl who's not there anymore. She's moved to the news division. I guess it was lucky that she was sitting on one side of the desk, because if she was sitting in between the 2 other hosts, they might have had a little bit of problem.
Yeah, it must have been a quick turnaround, because as you said, just right to the next, from the night to the next morning, they had to change that. What did advertisers really hear from Network 10 about 2014? Was there much for those paying attention that that they heard that they didn't really already know?
No, look, we pretty much knew everything. One of the big reveals, I guess, that the network's really going to bite the bullet and tackle that 6 p.m. a weekday time slot, which has been running The Simpsons for a long time now. But look, it just doesn't really perform against the other programs, the news on 7 and 9. It doesn't give the Channel 10 a good lead into the project, which is a really crucial part of their evening schedule. So they're going to tackle that 6 p.m. slot. They haven't revealed yet what it's going to be. They say, look, we don't want to let our competition know what we're up to. All they're doing is saying it's going to be a family-friendly entertainment program. Speculation already that could mean a game show.
OK, there you go. The Screen Forever conference, tell us a bit more about that. I know the Foxtel boss Richard Freudenstein was speaking at that. What did he have to say?
Yeah, it was interesting. He just talked about the importance of the production sector to the subscription model. They need to make TV that people pay for, as opposed to their opponents who, you get your free-to-air free. He talked a little bit about some of the technological advances. We ask him all the time about IQ3. He revealed that IQ3 is going to have 9 tuners in it, which is pretty mind-blowing. You'll be able to watch picture-in-picture. You'll be able to record multiple shows all at once, and there's going to be a massive overhaul of the EPG system.
James, I think you were actually hosting one of the sessions on TV ratings this week at the conference. Given that you were hosting, did anyone turn up? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, look, it's a pretty dry subject, ratings,
yeah,
and we got a reasonable crowd, but it was some great insights. I mean, the thing we really wanted to find out, look, is the industry going to do anything about measuring all the other ways you can view shows, whether it's on a tablet, online? We hear a lot about 10 Play, 7's catch up, 9's catch up, all these services, but we're not getting any figures yet. And by the time the sort of Doug Pfeiffer from OzTam was there, head of audience research at the ABC. John Grono from the MFA, he consults, he's on the OzTam board. By the time they explained all the difficulties in trying to record other platforms apart from, you know, your TV in your lounge room, you sort of thought, oh, OK, I won't ask anymore, because it's a really hard thing to, it's a really hard nut to crack. They're working on it, it will happen, but they also showed lots of figures. Look, the big audiences are still watching traditional linear TV. That's changing, but not really very quickly.
James, we're just going to keep you there. We're going to check in on the week on the share market, so thank you very much. James is joining us on Media Week from Melbourne, where he's been at that Screen Forever conference. Let's go back to 10 for a moment, because we're going to go across to Evan Lucas, who's with us from IG. Evan, we were just saying it's been a huge week for the network. How have the shares actually fared this past week?
Yeah, the shares have probably actually underperformed and almost been underwhelmed with what they've seen from that strategic update, and also what we heard last night with regards to the advertising update, which would sort of suggest that we are still very much unsure about where Tenner's going. We keep hearing Hamish McLernan sort of talk about the DNA of the company, trying to transfer itself from the current demographic of between 16 and 39-year-olds to that sort of 25 to 54-year-old sort of demographic. They want to up their current affair programs, they want to up their news, but until we do actually see a program that's working, the market is certainly still shying away from 10 because of the debt issues, because of that advertisement dollar, and the fact that they are still sitting third in that competition rank for that $2.8 billion in advertising. So no real major changes from the market, and if anything, it's actually still looking a little bit weak compared to what will be 7 and when the 9 IPO happens in around about 3 weeks' time.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Evan Lucas. Good of you to check in with us. Thank you. That's Evan Lucas from IG. Let's go back to James Manning, who's with us from Melbourne this week. James, walk us through the TV ratings for this week. We're looking at this week, I think it's week 46 for free-to-air. And Australia's Got Talent, I think, the winner of the top program for 9.
Yeah, it sort of finally came good for 9 right at the end there, and of course it wasn't up against the X Factor, which we've talked a lot about on this show. So yeah, it came good. I think they've sort of half announced that it'll be back next year, but you've got to think they'll have to move that time slot and put it somewhere else so it doesn't clash there.
All right, we might show these to viewers as well while you're speaking. There's the top, well, there's the top 5, and if we switch over the page, you've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 as well. Let's switch over and also have a look at the subscription TV ratings for week 46. James, Grand Designs, #1 for Lifestyle again.
Heard a little bit down at the conference here in Melbourne. They were talking to producers about producers would love to get a show on one of those lifestyle channels because they always perform very well, and we see them at the top of those ratings.
All right, let's have a check of some other news that we've got coming out of the media space at the moment. James Manning, it kind of is seeming like we're in the summer programming already. Not many big shows on, not many huge audiences around, it seems. Are we thinking it's all downhill for free-to-air TV from now until the end of the year?
Yeah, look, it is the last survey week begins on Sunday evening, so that's it then. It'll be one more week and then it's sort of into summer. I really like this time of year though, Brooke. It's you get to see a lot of the other shows, you get to explore channels you mightn't normally go to because the big shows are off. I think Dancing with the Stars is one of the few big programs left, which will finish up next week. OK, we've got the cricket underway too, of course, this week. When we're looking at ratings for that, what are we actually looking out for here, James? Yeah, look, it's a very crucial part of Nine's offering, if you like. They've invested a lot of money in getting these cricket rights. They've also got the digital rights too, so it'll be interesting to see if there's sort of much talk about people paying to watch and get information about digital. But look, they'd be looking for audiences up to about 1 million people. Would be a great result for Nine. It's a long test series though, so they need the games to be competitive, and more particular for Australia to perform well. That's very important to them. So they've got a long-term cricket contract. Yeah, we like to watch them when they're winning, that's for sure. And if there's anything that gets TV people talking, media people talking, it's the leaking of salaries to the rest of the media. Now, where are we at with this ABC leaking? I think Mark Scott started some kind of investigation into the leak, is that right? Yeah, look, the Australian's been leading the push on this. They had all the figures. They've got devoted a fair chunk of 2 days of the newspaper to that now, so I hope it's selling them some copies. I'm a little bit conflicted. It's great to sort of get that insight, I guess, especially if you're working in the media. I guess those people have some right to privacy, but then again, it's a public company, so, you know, there should be some sort of transparency. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure where I stand. Yeah, we'll let you sit on the fence for that one. Hamish and Andy, GQ Men of the Year. So that's a nice prize, I imagine. Yeah, we always talk about magazines and their big events of the year. This is the big one for GQ, their Men of the Year. Hamish and Handy had a really good year. They're not as big a deal on radio as they used to be. They've moved time slots. They've just got an hour on afternoons now for the Southern Cross Austereo network. We expect them to maybe have some input into a little bit of some of the breakfast shows perhaps next year, though that hasn't been sorted out yet. They're still a very important part of Nine, and we think they'll be going to South America for Nine next year, which will be interesting. Perhaps a bit of a preview for what Australia might get up to in the World Cup. And of course, the Olympics will be in a couple of years.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, James. We'll take a quick break here on Media Week. And coming up, our interviews from the MCN home fronts as the subscription TV sales body reports strong growth so far for this new financial year.